All right, so this video is going to go over Chapter 2 of Groundwork for College Reading. We're going to go over Chapter 2 of Part 1, talking about the vowels. So I will be referencing the book, so it's probably most helpful for you if you have the book open as we go along. So we're starting on page 47. Now, we talked before about consonants in the last chapter, and our simple definition of a consonant basically was it's not a vowel. And we said there's 21 consonants altogether, and that there's 5 vowels, and Y can sometimes also act as a vowel. So in this chapter, we'll be talking about those 5 vowels, or those 6 vowels if you count Y. But we're going to be focusing on some of the different sounds that are formed by those vowels. Now we're going to focus on short vowels and long vowels, and then a couple of other vowel sounds. One thing, one thing to be clear about is that these are not all of the vowel sounds in English. These are just some of them, and we're just sort of simplifying it right now. So right now you don't need to understand the whole vowel system, just these couple of simple ones. However, if you do have questions about other sounds, please feel free to bring them up in class and we will talk about them. Okay, so there's this cartoon is on page 47 where it says, "Class, I've got a lot of material to cover, so to save time, I won't be using vowels today. It's now let's begin. Please turn to page 1228." So it's saying here, without the vowels, words would be impossible to pronounce. Um, the basic meaning of a vowel in any language is it's a sound that is made without any stopping of the air. So we talked a little bit when we talked about consonants that consonants are really made by stopping the air somehow. So when we make a P, we stop the air with our lips. And when we make a T, we actually stop the air with a combination of our tongue and our teeth. When we make a N, we stop the air by pushing it through our nose. But vowels are the breathy, the sounds that where they aren't stopped. So we have these ones A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. But let's talk about the two different types of sounds. There's the short sounds or the long sounds. So listen to these short sounds first. So a short A sounds like the A in pat, so it sounds like ah. And the short E sounds like the E in pet, which is like eh. The short I sounds like the I in pit, I. The short O sounds like the O in pot, ah. The short U sounds like the U in cut, so in many dictionaries, and this is one of the questions I ask you, the short vowel sound, the way that it is represented in the pronunciation guide, is by having a little cup on the top of it. So if you see down there at the bottom, you can see the E with a little cup over it, and that's the symbol for the short E. So there's only one rule for short vowels, and that rule is that if when a word or syllable has only one vowel and the vowel is followed by one or more consonants, the vowel is usually short. Now it's not always short, but most of the time it is short. So what we mean by this is if we look down at the example of the word rob, rob is one word, and the O is followed by just the letter B, right? So this is an example of being followed by just one consonant. But if we look we look at the word robe, it doesn't have a short O because the word has two vowels in it. So in rob we just have one vowel. In robe we have two. Now the thing we're going to talk about in the next chapter is what is a syllable, but it's important to understand here a little bit. What a syllable is it's a word or part of a word that has only one vowel sound. Okay, we're going to learn more about it. So if we look at Rob, there's only the one vowel sound, ah. In the case robe, it's actually, even though we have two vowels written, it's also just one syllable because there's only one vowel sound. But let's practice a little bit of identifying the short sounds. So if you turn over to page 48, let's just go through practice 1. Now what this says is it says say each word to yourself, write an A with the cup symbol besides each word that contains a short A, like the word A in Pat. Put an X besides words that do not have the short A sound. The first two are done for you as examples. So the first one is crack, and that's a short A sound. If we look after the A, and remember in this, it's the thing that is important is not what comes before, but what comes after. But after the A are C and K, which are two consonants, so it's going to be a short A sound. But if we look at number 2, stay, this is not a short A sound. And if we look after the A, we have a Y. And Y, when it comes after a vowel, we're going to treat it like a vowel, not like a consonant. So let's look at the next one, land. Look after the A, you have two consonants, N and D, so that's going to be short. Tap, we have one consonant, P, so that's going to be short. Face, you have a consonant and then a vowel, so that's going to be long. Tame, you have a consonant, then a vowel, so that's going to be long, or we're going to put an X by it. We have jam, so this one is followed by just the consonant M, so that will be short. Pain, that's followed by a vowel and then a consonant, so that is going to be long. It's not going to be short. Bank, it's followed by an N and a K, so that one's going to be short. Now this one's going to be tricky. This one is ache, so the CH is actually a digraph, so we can treat that as one consonant and then it's followed by an E, which is a vowel. So even though it seems CH, that's two consonants, it doesn't work as two consonants because the CH is a digraph. It's actually only one sound. Okay, so we will be going over some of the other ones in class. So moving on to long vowels. So a long vowel is called a long vowel because when you say it, it sounds a little bit longer than the short vowels. So the way that we learn this when we're going to school is that a long vowel sounds like the letter's name. So for example, long A sounds like the letter A, so as in pay, right? Long E sounds like the letter E, as in bee. Long I sounds like the letter I, like in pie. Long O sounds like the letter O, as in toe. Long U sounds like the letter U, in fuse. In many dictionaries, you're going to see the long vowel sound be represented by a straight line. The symbol is a straight line over the letter. Okay. So moving on, let's look at the rules. There's 3 rules here for determining long vowels. Okay, the first of the rules is the silent E letter. And what this word says is that when a word or a syllable ends in a vowel, consonant, and then silent E, the vowel before the consonant is long and the final E is silent. So an example of that would be the word robe. So we have the letter O, which is our vowel, then we have the consonant B, and then we have an E that's not said. So the E actually makes the O say its name, or makes it long, so it becomes a robe. So let's practice with that one just a little bit with that rule. If you go over to page 54, let's look at exercise number 4. And this one says, complete each sentence by filling in the word that has at least one syllable which follows the silent E rule. So again here, we don't need to, for these exercises, we don't need to read the sentences. We can just look at the three words and pick which one has the silent E. So if we look at oak, there's no E in there at all, so that's not it. Elm, there's an E, but there's only one vowel with the silent E. The E has to be the second vowel. So our only choice is pine, which means that the I says its name, pine. If we look at the next one, we have the word first, trust. Now again, we have no E in that one, so that can't be it. If we look at like, we see that it is vowel, I, consonant, K, and then E, which is silent. So like is going to be our answer. Enjoy is not the answer because the E comes first. Let's look at the next one. We have notebook. So if we look at this, we actually have two syllables. We have note and then book. So if we look at the first syllable, we have O and then the consonant T and then a silent E. So that's going to be our answer. Let's look at the next one. We have textbook. So in this one, it could be a little bit tricky. Well, one way we can rule it out right away is that the E comes first, so that we know that that can't be the silent E if it's the first letter. But the other thing that we can do is we can look after the E, and we can see that there's two consonants after it. And if we look at pen, there's only one vowel there. Even though it's an E, there's only one vowel, so it can't be silent. Let's look at the next one. Dangerous, risky, and unsafe. So let's look at the first one. Dangerous, well, we have a vowel A, and then we have a vowel E, but let's look at what comes between them. After the A, there's two consonants, N and G, so that can't be a silent E. In risky, there's no E, so that's not a possible answer. So we know the last one has to be right. So it's unsafe. So we have A, and then we have F, and which is so A is the vowel, F is the consonant, and then E is silent. And then our last one here is brave. So if we look at this one, we see we have a vowel A, consonant V, and then an E. So that's going to be our answer. Let's look at the next one though. Fearless. Now there's two E's here, but the first E comes first, and the second E, there's actually an R and an L between A and E in fearless, so that can't be it. And in bold, there's no E. So going on to the next rule when you're going to have long vowels is when you have two vowels together. So here it says when two of certain vowels are together, the first vowel is long and the second one is silent. So if we look here, we say seed, right? In seed, they're both E's, but we say the first E. If we go down to please, right, we have E and then A, and we say the first E and we don't say A. So it's not like pliase. In the next one, we have plea. Again, we say the E, we don't say the A. Hail, we say the A, we don't say the I. Road, we say the O, we don't say the A. Play, we say the A, we don't say the Y. Tie, we say the I, we don't say the E. And toe, we say the O and we don't say the E. Now there are some exceptions here. You'll say when two of certain vowels are together. So the three exceptions that we should keep in mind that these ones do not make long vowels is when the vowels together are OO. So for example, book is not boke. Another example is OU. For example, in you, it's not yo, or with a u. So an example would be caught is not Kate. I don't even know how you pronounce that. But those three are the exceptions. OO, OU, and AU. They do not follow this rule. So let's go ahead and take a look at the practice number 5 on page 56. So again, we can just take a look at the words. We don't need to read the whole thing. So our first one here is train. So if we look there, we have A and then I, two vowels next to each other. So this one follows our rule. Ride doesn't follow the rule. The I is long, but it's long because of the silent E. Remember, for this rule, it has to be two vowels next to each other. So the next one, own, there's only one vowel there, so that can't be it. If we look at number 2, we have Italy. Now in that case, we have an I, an A, and a Y, but none of those vowels are right next to each other, touching each other. We have Greece, and here we have E and E next to each other. So we're going to say the first E and the second E will be silent. And then we have France. And then in that case, we do have two vowels, but the two vowels aren't next to each other. Let's look at the next one, minute. We have three vowels there, I, U, and E, but none of them are next to each other, so it's not this rule. Then we have day. Now in this case, the Y is acting as a vowel, so a Y that follows a vowel acts as a vowel. So we have A and then Y, so we say the A, but we don't say the Y, so that's our answer. But with month, there's only one vowel, O, so that can't be the answer. Moving on to the next one, we have time, right? Here we have two vowels, I and E, but they're not next to each other, so that can't be it. Now we have soap, and we have O and A next to each other, so the O says its name, so soap is our answer. In the next one, hot water, in hot, there's only one vowel, and in water, there's two, A and E, but they're not next to each other. So moving on to the last one, our first one is team, and we have E and A next to each other, so that's our answer. The E is said, the A is silent. In group, now this one is a tricky one. Group this is one of the exceptions that we have, O and U. So even though those two are two vowels together, they're exceptions. Joint is another exception, right, which I didn't mention, but O and I, when those two are together, we don't have the O being long. All right, and then moving on to the last one, when in this rule, it's when there's a final single vowel. So when a single vowel is at the end of a word or a syllable, and this doesn't include the silent E, it's usually a long sound. So some examples of this are like me, she, hi. And some examples when they're at the end of a syllable are like notice. So there's two syllables, two sounds. Music, two sounds. Basic. Okay? Now, just because this is getting a little bit long, I'm not going to do examples for the other ones, but we will go through them in class. So the other vowel sounds, the first one is the Y sound. Now Y, when it begins a word, it's considered a consonant. So in the word yell, Y is considered a consonant, not a vowel. But otherwise, it's a vowel, and it's usually one of three vowel sounds. When it's in the middle of a word or a syllable, it's usually a short I sound. So in the words myth and gym and syllable, the Y sounds like a short I. When it's at the end of a one-syllable word, so remember a syllable just has one vowel sound, it's usually a long I. So my, sty, and fry.
But when it's at the end of a word with more than one syllable, Y tends to sound like a long E, like in many, baby, city. Sometimes it sounds like a long I, as in deny, July, and reply. But in general, we're going to say that it sounds like a long E. The other two, well, this is one of the other two vowel sounds. So vowels that are followed by R, they're called R controlled, and they're not long and they're not short. It's just a different sound. So if you see a word that is followed by R, don't it doesn't it don't look for the rules for long vowels or the rules for short vowels. It's considered to be R controlled. It's a different sound. One of the things I mentioned before is that there's two consonants besides Y in English that are vowel like, and those are R and L. And you'll find in English that those sounds R and L, when they are after a vowel, they really change the sound of the vowel. So for example, we have cane, can, and car. These are three different vowel sounds. Heat, help, and her. Sight, sit, and sir. Code, cod, and cord. Fuel, fun, and fur. And then the last one is you have a long and a short O. So when two O's appear together, they're not considered to be, it's not a long O. It doesn't follow the second rule of long vowel sounds. You sometimes have what's called a long double O, like as in boot, spoon, room, and food. And the other pronunciation is called a short double O, like foot, stood, good, and cook. Now, don't worry too much about those two sounds because there's not really any clear rule as to when you use one or the other. Okay? So go ahead and take the time to review the rules at the end of the book, and then we will review. We'll do some of the exercises in class. All right. Take care. Bye.